Hey everyone, it's Nikolai Pavlov. I'm back with some Power BI tips and tricks. Today I will focus on a calendar table. We're going to discuss what it is, why do you need it, and how to make one. Well, first of all, what is a calendar table? A calendar table is one of the dimension tables with dates, and some argue it's a mandatory table for a good data model, which means if you get your data and you don't find a calendar table in it, you got to make one. Why do you need the calendar table? Well, first of all, the calendar table gives you the ability to add extra date attributes such as weekday, week number, weekend, quarters, different fiscal calendar, and public holidays. As opposed to if you don't have the calendar table, you're only limited to year, month, and day. And second of all, probably most importantly, if you want to build a good data model and build measures for time intelligence functions, such as year to date, month to date, total year to date, moving averages, etc., you have to have a calendar table. Time intelligence functions require the calendar table. There's no other way. My mentor, for example, who is a very experienced data analyst, says that the calendar table is one of the most important dimension tables and it's almost mandatory to have one for a good data model. Okay, now after we understand what the calendar is, the next question is, what should be in the calendar? It's pretty simple. There are only two things need to be in the calendar. First of all, your calendar needs a date column with contiguous dates, meaning that no skipping dates. Even if your business works Monday to Friday, do not skip weekends or public holidays. You need them. And second of all, your date range must cover your data. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, right? All right, now let's go to Power BI and see which two functions we can use to build the calendar table in a model. All right, I got a sample data here downloaded from Kaggle or Kaggle, however you prefer to pronounce it. And I don't have a calendar table in my data. The only date resembling thing is order date, when particular items were ordered and sold. It doesn't really matter at this point. Okay, the easy way to build a calendar is to use the function CalendarAuto. To build a calendar, actually you go to the modeling tab and then you click new table. Once you're here, you can name your table. I'm going to name it calendar table 1. And the function is really simple. It's CalendarAuto. Boom. Okay, our calendar is now ready. Let's click and see what we got. The CalendarAuto function is a really easy function to use. It automatically takes the first and last dates from your data and produces a calendar. It sounds good, right? At first, I also thought that. But unless you know all your data inside out and build all of it yourself, then using the CalendarAuto function is a bad idea. And I'm going to show you why. Here I have a really easy data set. It's very simple. It only has the sales from 2003 to 2005. I already knew that. Let's say I didn't. And one of my tables, let's say, had a customer table. I'm just going to really quickly show you how the CalendarAuto can be really confusing sometimes. So let's say I had a customer table. Let's say it was customer name and then there was a date of birth. And I had some guys working for me. Smith, I don't know, whatever the last names, Jones, Peters, and they had, one was born in 63, 01, 01, Jones was born in 1983, 0202, and Peters was born let's say he's a young guy, 03, 03. So I have this data here. And let's say I load it into my model. And now, if I use the CalendarAuto What it's going to do, it will use one of your customers' birthday as the initial date, the older customer you got. Let's say you have a lot of customers or employees, and some of them were born in 1940s, for example. Let's assume that. And then the CalendarAuto function will automatically get that earliest date and use it in your calendar, even though that date obviously has no relations to your actual sales data, right? Our sales data only starts with from 2003, right? So 1963 has no relation to that data whatsoever, but CalendarAuto is going to use that, which means you will have no control over that calendar behavior. Okay, now we know that the CalendarAuto function is not the best way to create calendar. I'm just going to delete this. The second formula is just calendar, really. That's as simple. So I'm going to go to Modeling tab and then click New Table again. And I'll name it Proper Calendar Table. And the function is calendar. The function itself really only has two variables in there. The first is your start date and your end date. In my case, I know the first and the last date of my table, right? So if that's the case, if you definitely know the first date and the start date in your model, simply type in date and put in year, one, and month, and then day, like I'm doing here. So I know my table. In my table, January 1st of 2003 is my start date, right? And end date is the date function is 2005 December 12/31. December 31st 2005 is the last date in my table. Okay, all good. This function is going to create the calendar, as I said, from these dates. Start date being January 1st, 2003, and end date being December 31st, 2005. Okay, now what if you don't know these dates? What if it's a big model, you didn't build it, and you have no idea which is the first date, which is the last date, right? You could probably manually, you could go to the table, to your sales table and figure it out manually, but we're not going to do that. It's just not, it takes too much time, right? What you're going to do is you're going to use functions min and maximum. The function minimum obviously brings the smallest value from a table, from a column, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to put min and simply put column in the table. So my table with order dates is, what is it, dates? No, it's, what's the name? Yeah, it's order date, sales data, order date, okay? And end date, obviously is going to be maximum of that column. So it's order, date. All right, simple, right? Again, what we did here is we used the calendar function, and inside the calendar function, we used two separate functions, minimum and maximum. We used the minimum function to find out the earliest date in the order date column in this table, right? And the maximum function to find out the latest date in the order date column. And obviously it's all automatic. We click OK and we have the same result. Actually, you see, I was wrong. January 1st was not the first day. It was January 6th. That's why it's important to use, I think, to use minimum and maximum. You safeguard yourself from potential problems, right, that you can encounter. Now I have a calendar table. What I'm going to do is I go to the relationship table, and now I'm going to connect this date table to my order date. Where is that? Order date right here. That's it. And as the last step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create extra columns. I'm going to extract extra columns using this date function for my future analysis. I'm not going to make a lot of them, but the idea is really simple. What you do is you go to here the data view, right? And then you just create new column, new custom column. The first one I'm going to do is month. No, it's actually year. Year. So I'm going to extract year from my date column. Year. Sorry, it's called date. Click here. Oh, no, I actually don't need that parenthesis. There we go. What if I just missed? What if I skipped it? Ah, right, I see. No, just gotta have year in here and no parenthesis. Okay, then I will build another column which is going to be month number. So it's obviously month, and use date table, date here, okay. Now I'm going to use now I'm going to build another column, month name, which is going to be I'm going to use the format function of the date function here, of the date column, sorry, and format it as 4 M letters, which means a full name of a month. You see January. If I put 3 letters in here, then it will be Jan. You can leave 3 letters or 4 letters, it's up to you. Let's do week. Week number. Let's say a week number, date, showing my column in here. Now I have a number of a week. Then I build a column for quarter using the function quarter. There's nothing really special in building the calendar table. It shouldn't really take you more than 10 minutes to build one. Depending on information that you need, you can add week names, you can add quarter and year. I mean, all you're really gonna use is these functions, format, right? You're gonna use the functions format, and then year, day, weekday. It's pretty straightforward. All right, that's it for today. Calendar is easy to build, but it's really important for a data model. So when building a model, do not skip this step and do it right away as a first step, because it will give you so much more capability for further analysis and time intelligence, which we're gonna probably look into in our next video. All right, if you like my video, consider subscribing, and have a good day. See you later.